a Joe a campaign for crown again. He tell me don't take the chance and boys go leave me in pain. But I hate to run away from a serious fight, and just now I'm feeling ready, and the time is right. I don't clean up me weaponry to bombard the stage. No more hanky-panky are coming out in a rage. I know they declare that I don't live here, but I was born and bred in this place, so they can't treat me like no jackass in no horse race. No retreat, no surrender, no hostages, no prisoner. I'm declaring total war this time. Like the old buccaneers of Thailand yonder, I come to pillage and plunder. If they only blunder like 89, they better don't blunder like 89. Into exile, I gave them all a chance to control town for a while. But after 7 long years, what do I see? They still pushing mega business and tomfoolery, and running off in mid-song with their impertinence, as if they're playing maths with the audience intelligence. Well, I come to put an end to their fun. I recapturing the town like Rambo, are coming out and a throwing bomb. And a ballin', no retreat, no surrender, no hostages, no prisoner. I declaring total war this time. They could run from here till they reach Uganda. I'm going to put.
Yes, if you tell me, I will tell them that tell me is on.
Did somebody say tell me? Then tell me about it. Tell me with host Carlisle Powell.
There are talk shows, and then there is Tell Me, your very credible source for information. Join us every Thursday night. You certainly won't be disappointed.
Alongside Dr. Kelvin Daly.
Panic and fear, uncertainty that is compounded by a leadership that appears unprepared, uncertain, and indecisive in dealing with the coronavirus pandemic.
And Tulu Weeks.
Until God gets a hold of our premier's life and transform him, he will go from bad to worse.
We are tired of playing politics. We need to see policies that will change the life of people, especially those of us in the diaspora.
Tell me. Carlisle, I want all women in this rally for change.
Every Thursday at 8 p.m., you can be a part of this conversation by calling 669-7312. That's 869-669-7312. Also available on WhatsApp or from the diaspora 917-460-2187.
Every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. with host Carlisle Powell on 2020 Vision Radio and Facebook.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
This 2020 Vision Radio 102.1 FM program is being simulcast weekly on the Caribbean Broadcast Network, heard on CBN Superstation 90.9 FM, Go Loud Digicel app, covering the entire U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and CBN TV on Flow Channel 101 and on CCT TV Channel 291. We do appreciate our U.S. and British Virgin Island listeners and viewers joining us for these informative and entertaining programs on 2020 Vision Radio and 102.1 FM. The views and opinions expressed on this program are strictly those of the participants and do not represent those of 2020visionradio.com or its advertisers.
Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, baby. Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, baby. Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, baby. Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, baby. But girl, tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, baby. Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, baby. Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, baby. Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, baby. Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, good enough for you, baby.
Saying a very special good evening to all the Tell Me fans out there, including those who are at the CPL game and their headphones are plugged in and they're listening to Tell Me. Got a couple of messages. Why are you guys late? We're watching cricket, but we also want to watch you and hear you from Tell Me. That is commitment all the way. Good night, Tulu. How you doing?
Good night. I'm giving thanks. It is good to be here again another Thursday evening with you two most esteemed gentlemen and our viewing and listening audience. Special good evening to my sisters Sylvia, Janet and Valerie, to Kyron, also to Rhonda. It's a one I haven't heard from Rhonda. And to all those who listen on a regular basis, welcome.
And good evening, Dr. Daly.
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening to all those who have decided to spend some time with us this evening. If you're in if you're on YouTube, Twitch, if you're on the FM dial, or of course on the Facebook feed, special good evening to all of you. But of course, my family always comes first. My brother here down there in St. Croix, my sisters Even and Judith up there in Connecticut, my brother Carl in Atlanta, my brother Denny, who's still here with his lovely wife Twilla, and of course my brother Othniel, Reverend Othniel Daly, right here on the evening. Special good evening to my good buddies over there in St. James, Turkey, Bowes, and of course Gary, and up in Westbury, my good buddy Max. Good evening to everyone.
Okay, and I'm sending out good evening, of course, to my family members. Somebody tell me I always start at the top, but one of these days I should start with Mauve. So Mauve, let me hail you up first tonight. Good evening to you. Hope that you're doing well. Hope to see you soon. And to Mary and Glenda, the other two sisters from my mother Maria, and their families, I'm wishing you all the best. I don't think Mary is traveling this week, so she should be in front of the TV looking at YouTube or Twitch or some one of those and taking in Tell Me. And of course their families, and across in Tortola, Everett and his lovely wife Heather and the rest of the family. And here in Nevis, my younger brother Trevor and his family. Hope that you're doing very well. Alan, you got to be good. Dahlia, let me apologize for Alan. If you gave him some work to do today and he didn't get it done, he and I were on the phone for a very long time, and I enjoyed it. So I will apologize in case he didn't get the work done that you might have given him to do. I rather enjoyed his program. It was Tuesday night. Had a really good show on Tuesday night, where he did some analysis of an interview that was done by the Attorney General. Lots of food for thought, so I wish you well. Gentlemen, let us start. We normally start with the birthday greetings, but let's turn it upside down tonight. Let's start with the bereavements. Dr. Daly, you have a death in the family.
Yeah, you could call it out.
Yeah, I'm looking for it here. Where I know you posted it in our chat,
okay.
But you know when you're looking for something, it just runs from you.
Okay, well, I have it here. So,
okay.
The family of my dear sister-in-law, Tula, one of her sisters, Niti, Hazel. It's very troubling because, you know, as you get older, people you know, the more people you know that they're passing on, you know. And so we lost another good friend of the family, another good man, husband, Conrad Stancliffe, formerly of Government Road. We used to call him Spaceman. You know, we went to boys' school together, and then he immigrated. We went to the States, and he went down west. So, excellent family man. And so he is going to be sorely missed by his wife, Niti, and the rest of the family, Twilla and Tai and the rest of the gang. So we are sending out our deepest condolences to the family of those mourning the loss of Conrad Spaceman Stancliffe.
And we'll join in as well. We're sending condolences to the family of Yolitha over there in Cotton Ground. Real tried and tested, hardened soldier for the Nevis Reformation Party. So we are sending out condolences to her family. That funeral is coming up next week on Wednesday. And I'm urging all the NRP, all members of the choir and members of the general crew of NRP to attend that funeral. That is going to be over in Cotton Ground at the Clifton Methodist Church. It's not a big church. Let's fill up the church and fill up outside as well to say farewell to Lita. Later on in the program, we'll have a little bit more to say about her. As well, coming up this week, we have 2 funerals. Surpriser, he's tomorrow. And then my classmate Everton Griffin will be buried on Saturday morning. So those are funerals which are coming up. And you said it rightly, Dr. Daly. We get older, and just today I was telling somebody, when I've already gone past where my mother died, because she died at 60. But I remember looking at my mother when she was 50 and saying, but this is an old woman. you know. And then we are now 60s and pushing 70, and we feel that we're young. But we are the older people. Those younger people might be looking at us and say, but them they're old.
Yeah, we are ancient.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is. It is what it is.
It's part of the process of life we are passing through, and all of us has an expiry date. Some goes quicker or earlier than some. Some it starts from in the womb, before they were born they went. And God give us the privilege to being here for this length of time to make a contribution to His universe, and let us make sure that we do that. Good contributions.
Yep. Okay, let's go to the birthdays now. This week, we had a few. I don't think that we captured Stuart Williams last week, but he celebrated on Tuesday. Cousin of mine, Donna Blake, was on Wednesday. Queen Adele was on Wednesday as well. And Virgil Brown and the good Mrs. Dr. Brown celebrated a wedding anniversary on Wednesday as well. Today, on our calendar, we have Debbie and Stocky. That's Fitzroy Williams and his lovely wife, Debbie. They are celebrating their 32nd wedding anniversary. 32 sounds like a lot. And Stacky and Debbie look young. Maybe they had to get their parents to sign for them. Because 32 is a long time. Sidamo Jones celebrating a birthday today alongside Lorna Hunkins. Friday, Kabu. Kabu is celebrating on Friday. So Kabu, Kabu only about 30. He did everything young.
Kabu was at least 100 or something.
He's celebrating again. Kabu is one of those fellows who very early on got training in Barbados. At the, I think he's a Samuel Jackman Prescott Technical School. And Kabu, I have so many stories about Kabu, but the one I love to tell is that Kabu is the first mechanic in Nevis to paint a plane. And then paint planes. And when I called him and said, Kabu, I got a plane for you to paint, he said, I never paint one yet. I said, it's all right, you're going to learn. And Kabu painted all the planes for Nevis Express and did a fantastic job.
Well, I've known Kabu a long time, and he has looked the same. So some people just got that gift of agelessness, timelessness. And I swear he's about 100. I think I knew him in boys' school as the same size, same look.
Not 100 yet, though.
You know, 100 yet?
No.
Okay.
Well,
he's getting there.
He's a good guy, so he's aging gracefully.
Okay. Telka Bartlett will celebrate on Saturday. Corinne Hodge over there in St. James's, she celebrates on Saturday as well, along with the lovely Datricia Mooten. And then on Sunday, we have Chantel Clark David, very good friend of mine. And her husband, Livy, and the boys are wishing her happy birthday in advance. And so we wish you very well. On Monday, we have Auntie Shelley. So the whole of Nevis will celebrate with Auntie Shelley on Monday. Deli Canes also on Monday, along with Cassandra Williams on Monday. And then on Tuesday, Jeffrey Kelly is having greetings coming to him from his Aunt Rhonda. He will be celebrating on Tuesday. And so that's what we have for this week. All of those persons celebrating birthdays and anniversaries.
That's a lot.
Is a lot. I didn't check. Let me take a quick peep on the Facebook to see if anybody forgot. And now sending late greetings. I'm not seeing any. I'm not seeing any. Okay, so those are who we have to sing for tonight.
All right. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. And as usual from us in the studio, may you live to be 101 and us 101 minus a day, so we don't have to see you go. May God continue to bless you with good health, strength, and of course, wealth.
Thank you very much. Now, last weekend, I had such a fantastic weekend last weekend, because on Saturday, I got to spend some time with two of my favorite senior citizens. I picked up my godmother, and we went up to see Mrs. Jeffers. Got to spend some time with her. So, good night, Mrs. Jeffers. Hope that you're doing good. And listen, I met her radio still tuned into our station, 2020. And she said to me, I was listening daily on Tulu. so the radio still on the station. And so she is one of our very, very avid listeners.
So make sure you don't disturb her between 1 and 3.
No, I wouldn't call her between 1 and 3 for anything, because she would be concentrating on the show and making sure that she could hear what's happening. So good night, Mrs. Jeffers. And listen, I promise you, we're not going to stay so long again. We're going to come to visit you before Christmas, well before Christmas. Hope that you continue to do good. Daily, I got some very troublesome friends. One of them just sent me a message to say we didn't have any half notes tonight. Is Mishi mean?
Well, that's a compliment.
Okay.
That's a way forward.
He's improving.
Yeah.
I think he just go home and practice.
Troublesome. No, I have a message here from Dig. Dig was calling when we were already online. He had a birthday and his son Alan had a birthday. So the 5th and the 12th of this month they celebrated birthdays. I don't know how this Tulu don't remember. Tulu don't remember nobody but the
If I don't remember mine, I will remember somebody else's birthday.
Dig, we include you. So you're there.
Dig had a birthday?
Yes.
5th of August.
He was born,
Yeah, 5th of August.
Yep. So.
I'm not asking for forgiveness.
Okay.
I just don't remember.
Okay. Now, listen, is one place I want to start. So let me start with this one. That's our good friend Letta over in Cotton Ground. She passed during the course of the week, and we are reaching out and saying condolences to the family. Got to remember that. Got to play back that. That's from the by-election to get the candidate, the person to replace Honorable Joseph Walcott Parry.
And I was on the bus.
You were on the bus.
Yes.
But for some strange reason, the supervisor of elections went to collect the box. He's the supervisor of election. He must know the rules. But he alone came to collect the box. I don't know what in God's name
in his car.
Convinced him. In his car. His personal private car with no security.
I was trying to speed up the thing. We were running late.
Yeah, but that is not an acceptable speed up. And Letta held strange. She said, no, not you.
I was so happy for her when I got there and the school bus and her making her ruckus on the school bus. I said, listen, this is a true stalwart. I was very, very hungry. I also needed to pee for a bit, and the policeman would not allow me to move off the bus. I said, I finished my duty. I need to get home. He said, you're going on that bus? And I said, somebody here, an agent to follow. He said, you are not going to go off this bus until these boxes reach into the police station in Cotton Ground. And I want to pee. I must pee up myself. And I work hard, so hard for the person, and try to encourage the person and keep their heart together, and then they turn around and slap me upside my face. But it's a part of life. Thank God for people like Letta who stood up and to make sure that democracy held firm and that things work out the way that they should have worked out.
Mr. Parry did a really nice piece. I saw something that was posted by Parry, giving condolences to the family. And I'm told that Mr. Parry will be doing the eulogy at the funeral. So that is something that I absolutely want to be present for. And again, we are sending out condolences to the family and the entire St. Thomas's community. Letta stood firm when it was needed, when it was necessary. And there was no doubt about her commitment to the party and to the cause. And it didn't just come from her. This is something which is generational. Her mom was same way, staunch supporter of the party. And so people like Letta, always they have my respect. As, you know, you got to stand for something.
Her aunt was also a stalwart for the party. It's a pity that the grandchild leave it there.
Okay, gentlemen, let me continue by saying that the Premier gone again. He is in Martha's Vineyard, I am told. You know, he really don't like mixing and matching with the poor people. You hear people talk about Joseph France and how he was for the poor people. And then you see people like the NRP stalwarts, every one of them from Dr. Simeon Daniel come all the way down to Swanston and those kind of people.
Come all the way down to Daly.
Stevens and everybody in the party. They're comfortable with poor people. Our premier is not comfortable with poor people. He finds his comfort among the rich people. And so when I checked up the number of days now, this trip, including this trip, he has been away for 59 days for the year. 59 for the year so far. That has cost us a truckload of money. But the problem is with our premier, when he travels, he don't come back with anything. He don't even come back and give a report. This is where I was. This is what I did. My sources had to inform me that he was on his way to Martha's Vineyard. Martha's Vineyard is up there in Boston, isn't it? Somewhere up there?
Yeah, the East Coast.
Okay. So he gone to meet with the rich people and so on. I saw a video this afternoon too, with him comfortable among those rich people at the expense of the poor people in Nevis. He didn't tell us where he was going, save and except that he was going to be away for the week. He didn't tell us when he was coming back, who he was going to meet with, what is the nature of the meetings. But he has gone on a trip where, according to what I heard from the official sources, he is on this trip and then he will take some personal days.
Yes,
which means that the government treasury pick up the costs. The treasury picks up the cost for the trip and then he stay on for a couple of personal days. Who knows? Those personal days may extend to the government also picking up the cost of the hotel and whatever. But this is the nature of the man that we have here. And not only that, when he travels, he makes sure travel with his real estate agent. He travel with his wife. So she's there as well, handing out cards, I would suppose, to those people around the pool that I saw at the meeting in Boston, and making sure that they could make contacts so that they could make money. But the people of Nevis got to pay for that cost.
I love the way that you end, because we must keep in mind that when the premier traveled, I believe that a large portion of his time in traveling has nothing to do with the people of Nevis. It has everything to do with Daniel Brantley and Associates, whatever north or south there is about. It is clear, because he went to represent us. First of all, he'll tell us when he's going, what he's going for, and when he comes back, he will be reporting to us on his accomplishment. But the fact remains that he keeps going, and we are just hearing that he's going to be out for some time, and then he comes back and we do not hear anything from him until he gets on his soapbox to rant and cuss and disrespect people. It is clear that he's not representing us.
Listen this. I want you to see the difference between Mark Brantley and another leader in the Caribbean. So you listen to this.
I have done the total, and in 7 years, the total amount comes to just about 1.457 million across 93 trips, with an average of $15,000 per trip, Mr. Speaker. I don't travel first class. I go at the last possible minute and return at the earliest possible minute. I do not stay in luxury suites, as was the wont of many a minister before this government came into office. And Mr. Speaker, everything is here. Attendance, look at all of them. If it isn't CARICOM meetings, it is the UN meetings. If it isn't the UN meetings, it is the COP meetings. If it isn't COP, it is individual meetings that require us security. On occasion, I have done 1 or 2 speeches. And Mr. Speaker, if I were only spending money, I wouldn't mind. You might curse me. That 1.45 million, you know what I asked the PS to prepare for me too, sir? What are the benefits in terms of grants that this government has gotten as a result of that travel? Mr. Speaker, would you believe that this government, and I'm going to be fair, because when the ministry prepared this, they included one figure that came at the beginning of 2018, and I don't have nothing to hide. So I told the minister, take that $27 million out. 27.6 million and 83,000. Take it out. So subtract that from $146,887,000 in grant money. Not loans. Mr. Speaker, you know what grant money is? It's free. When you walk out of Parliament, Mr. Speaker, fella, give me $20 there. That is free money.
Gentlemen, that's Prime Minister Mia Mottley of Barbados. 93 trips, spending Barbados money, $1.45 million, and raking in at the other end 146, almost 147 million in grant money. Well, in this time, I am positive that Mark Brantley has gone on more than the 93 trips and has spent in excess of $1.45 million. And he has not brought back not even a piece of aloes, as bitter as it is, not even a lime skin. And knowing Mark Brantley, I am absolutely certain that he does not do like me and Motley. He travels first class and stays in expensive hotels. And I know for a fact that he goes early and comes back late. He is too expensive for Nevis. Is costing the state too much money. These trips of his, he gives absolutely no account. Nothing. Say he went to New York to meet with a set of rich people who are associated with a university and couldn't even bring back one single scholarship, not even a pledge. Daily, this man too expensive for us. He costing us too much.
I saw a video of him being wined and dined and limousined up there in Martha's Vineyard, and the person or persons responsible for creating that atmosphere was the honorary ambassador to Nevis, who he appointed on July 27th. And so that person is the one responsible for creating this meeting between the Premier and these hobnobbers at the peoples of Nevis' expense.
Of course. Stick a pin daily. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Powell.
How are you?
Good evening, Dr. Daly, and my good brother, Tulu. I trust and hope that you listen to the Right Honorable Mia Motley of Barbados. That lady has done her best, and she will be going good until she can go no more. We have a leader here, and we need to, the people need to come out now, publicly, and let him know that he is not the right leader for our country. However, there's one man who caused CCM to be back in power. One man. Because when the man called him tonight and tell him, you lose the election, he said, fix it. Fix it. But the day will come. My grandmother, Mary, Melvina Maynard said, it is not now. Time longer than twine. Gentlemen, good evening, and may God bless you.
Have a good
Time
night.
is longer than twine. That was led by Clergy Maynard. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daly.
Yeah. The cost of these trips, the per diem for these trips, that money could have been used to create opportunities right here on Nevis. I don't see why you need an honorary ambassador attached to the Nevis Tourism Authority who is focused on telling the people of Nevis that they need to bringing more black Americans into the country. If that is a mandate, that is a mandate. But what evidence is there to support what she's doing? Why is it costing us money on something that you cannot prove that's working? I mean, these are the same people that were entertaining the government when he went on that show in New York, when he said he was a special guest
on The View.
On The View. These are the same people. You know, they come down here, he treats them well, he looks after them, he houses them, he feeds them, and they return the favor when up in New York, up in Martha's Vineyard. It is a useless exercise in waste. And people must realize this. This guy is not interested in quantifying any return on the investment, because Martha's Vineyard is not cheap. This is where people go with money. And so when he goes and selects these areas to wine and dine, you're telling the people there, you have money when you don't. So you are basically living on credit at the people's expense. I'm just so tired. I'm just so tired of the constant waste of resources that you don't have a lot of, you can't recover it, and you keep doing it. You keep wasting money. It's just...
So all of the activities that will benefit the people of Nevis, the members of the government, they complain, we cannot do this because we don't have money, especially the premier and the deputy premier. But he can't find money to go to Martha's Vineyard.
And the reception was for him. The reception was for him, paid for by the people of Nevis. I mean, if you're trying to build a base of people to encourage tourism into the country, do you send the premier as a spokesperson, or do you send your technical people, your people from NTA? I think the acting chair was there, opening the door to the limousine. But you send technical people to do this kind of work. The premier does not need to be there. So you're taking all these resources to have him there, wine and dine at the people's expense. It's basically a junket. It's a trip of no consequence, except it costing the taxpayers of Nevis a lot of money.
I believe the focus here is on the southern part of the island that they want to develop, and we'll get to that later on. And here's where the focus is on, because who is going to be making the bulk of the revenue out of this? Father, mother, daughter, all your business. And so this trip has absolutely nothing to do with us. And based on what was passed in the parliament during the course of the week, we're in for a rude awakening. But it's not about us. It's about them. And we, the people of Nevis, need to understand that. We've been saying it for a while. Kibo has been saying this for a while. And all of us need to get it in our heads that the premier is not interested in us, the poor people of Nevis. He's interested in himself, his family, the upliftment.
But I think we need to get a handle on this in terms of quantifying and qualifying. Quantifying in terms of what Mayor Matley spoke about, the deliverables. I delivered this. This is where the tire hits the road. You are spending money, but you're making more money back. We have to hold our administrators, our leaders to account. When you're spending the people's money, you must account for how well you have managed that resource. And if this is the case, the premier has failed. Because even as foreign minister, even as premier of the country, You cannot quantify the deliverables that he has brought back to the country. I think our good friend Bijan asked him. You can't even make a bottle, a drum of oil, a barrel of oil, you know, and this is serious. And I love the way the Prime Minister of Barbados was able to quantify in exact ways the work that she's doing, not only to highlight what Barbados is offering, but to bring back grants to the country.
But we need to see Mark do something similar.
Yeah.
We want Mark to say to us, listen, Mia Motley is what, 2018? Mark Brantley is 2017 as leader of Nevis. He, like Mia Motley, has gone on trips. She quantified hers. This is the number of trips that I've gone on. This is the cost of the trips. I want Mark Brantley to say to Colin Doe, the permanent secretary, you get your team of people to list the number of trips I've gone on. Because Colin Doe must know.
Yeah, of course.
Because the per diems have to be paid. So he must know. So between him and the treasurer, list the number of trips, list the cost of the trips, and list the benefits to the people of Nevis. Do that for me, please, Colin Doe. Let's take this call. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen.
How are you tonight?
I'm giving God the glory. Gentlemen, I don't think we need to send anybody to sell Nevis. Sunshine Kane and Randy Jeffers has done it already. Four Seasons has done it already. Who come here and they want to come back to do business, to make it their business, to find out how, where, when, and why? I think it's a waste of money, because what we know about Sunshine and the killer bees, that is Navy sold all over the world. So that's just a joyride, nothing other than a joyride.
Exactly.
Good night and goodbye.
Thank you very much, caller.
That is exactly true. It's basically a joyride.
An expensive joyride.
In the States, they call them junkets. At the end of the term, these Republican senators and Democratic senators and representatives go all over the world on junkets. Fact-finding junkets. It's a free trip, right? And the call is exactly right. Four Seasons has the advertising budget. They know their clientele. They know what they want to achieve. They know who they want to attract. But to put it further, during the cultural season, do you know how much influencers the government paid for?
About a half a dozen.
They were all here, streaming live, doing podcasts, doing all kind of things at our cost.
At our?
Of course, our cost.
And we don't have no money. According to the Minister of Tourism, we are cash strapped and we cannot do this and we cannot do that, and we love to do this and we love to do that, but we don't have the money.
You have money to do what you want.
Find money to do what they want.
These are the kind of things, and I think your summation, Carla, is spot on. I asked the Ministry of Finance, the Permanent Secretary, to prepare a dossier of all the travels the Premier has been on since he became Premier, and the results of those trips that he has made. It's simple.
He will not do it. He cannot do it without the permission. You hear Miss Motley say?
Permission of who?
Miss the Premier.
But
that is what we're saying. The Premier must ask the Permanent Secretary.
He will not do it because he do not want us to know. Okay? The difference between the Premier and his trips and reporting on Miss Motley. Miss Motley leaves Barbados to go out to represent the people of Barbados. I am saying that when the Premier leaves Nevis, he leaves Nevis to represent himself. It's just the other day when Timothy Harris was the Prime Minister, Timothy Harris said that the Premier of Nevis, for the 7 years he was in his government, made no cabinet submission on anything in relation to Nevis other than Spencer Brand and something for Daniel Brantley and Associates. And if he was in the federal government and he did not represent us, what makes us believe that when he goes in the way he's representing us, when he do not represent us in St. Kitts?
Stick up in. We're going to take a little break. When we come back, we want to look at something else.
Pico, the way to go for for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
And we are back, and let me say thanks to Ras Aya, who brought something to my attention a couple of months ago, and so tonight I'm going to bring it to your attention. 300 years ago, there was a slave uprising here in Nevis, started up there in that's the Morning Star area. 300 years ago, 1725, at the center of it was a slave named Frank. And you should read that story. Go ahead and Google the 1725 slave uprising in Nevis. You know, so 300 years later, I mean, you're talking about an uprising of black people in an island of mostly black people. And the history departments, the Ministry of Culture, the Ministry of Education and Sport, the Premier's Ministry, not a word. Is as if they never heard about the 1725 uprising.
First of my hearing.
First of your hearing. Well, Google it. 1725 slave uprising in Nevis. You're talking 300 years ago when this happened. But I want to tell you something. While the slaves in Nevis were leading that uprising against their masters, they were suppressed with assistance from the slave owners in St. Kitts. That's what the history says. They didn't say, listen, we join in Nevis with this. And you see, the problem is some of what led to that. 1721, they had a drought, serious drought. And then they had a hurricane. And the slaves didn't have food to eat. They were hungry. Because a lot of the lands that the slaves worked for sustenance was up in the hills, and those lands took a beating. And so in 1725, the slaves, led by this gentleman named Frank, a black man, decided we had enough, and they rose up. But they were brutally suppressed with assistance from St. Kitts. And so, yeah, 300 years later, we in Nevis, nobody said a prayer, nobody light a candle, nobody sing a sankey. Not one member of the government seemed to be aware of this. But how are you going to move forward if you don't know your history? You got to know your history. And this is something which, unfortunately, we are not very good at. As a matter of fact, I told you, Alan and I had a long discussion today. One of the things that we discussed was a fellow named Ivor Algernon Stevens, who spoke in the federal parliament for 4 days non-stop. You guys remember that?
And made them change, and they
changed the rules after that. The rules of speaking. But Ivor Stevens spoke for 4 days in the parliament non-stop. And guess what? Bratcher, the premier, walked out of his own parliament. Yep. Anyway, before we get back into these discussions, let me remind you that coming up on the 30th of this month, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge will be leading a delegation to New York for a mix and mingle. And so you're going to hear more about that. But if you're in the area, please come by, mix and mingle. Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge will be there. Carlisle Powell will be there as well. and J.D. Keynes will be there on that trip as well. So come on out, ask us the questions you need to ask us, and hear some presentations as we mix and mingle there. Dr. Daly, I want to take us back now to the bill that was passed in Parliament this week. They had 3, but really 2 of them were just there to camouflage the real bill. So I want us to talk about that this week. Let's start this way.
What will a zone have to deliver? The bill sets hard tests up front before any agreement is signed. A zone must show an independent economic analysis forecasting long-term jobs, investment, and revenue for our people. It must have concrete plans for reliable water, at least 70%. It must have concrete plans for reliable water, at least 70% renewable energy, strong waste reduction and recycling, hurricane and earthquake resistant buildings, public safety and emergency response, fair dispute resolution, and available health services. The developer must prove financial and technical capacity so we do not sign up to wishful thinking. There are conditions precedent: no plan, no capacity, no sustainability, no zone. Madam Speaker, how will governance work? Each zone is governed by a development agreement negotiated by the government, approved by cabinet, and if the zone is in Nevis, with the Nevis Island Administration as a co-signatory. The agreement sets the exact boundaries, timelines, milestones, and house rules of the zone. It's bylaws. It can include tailored zone laws for operations, but here is the key. Any such laws only take effect if this National Assembly and, where relevant, the Nevis Island Assembly ratifies them. That keeps democratic oversight at the center. Parliament remains, of course, that gatekeeper.
Let me jump in right here, gentlemen, to lead off the discussions on this and ask you if you have the St. Christopher Nevis Constitution to go straight to Schedule 5, which is found on page 93. And I want to send you down to subsection 15, where it says that land and buildings other than land and buildings vested in the Crown and specifically appropriated to the use of the government, including the holding of land by persons who are not citizens. This is one of the part of the legislative powers of the Nevis Island Administration. And having said that, I want to back up a little bit and tell you that St. Kitts and Nevis, in going into independence, hold the calls for me, please. Hold the calls for me, please. Leading into independence, I believe that St. Kitts and Nevis had the most protracted independence talks of any of these islands in the Caribbean, which are now independent. We started hearing discussions about independence about 75, 74, 75. The discussions officially started, I think, about 76. And we did not become independent until 1983. And you have to ask the question why. Because remember, you had the issues with Anguilla, and Britain wanted the Anguilla issue settled before independence. Nevis had an issue with St. Kitts and determined that it had no intentions of going into independence with St. Kitts because Nevis felt that they were treated just like somebody who was a stepchild out there who you don't like. And they had the evidence for that. So when they started these discussions, by the best of my memory, when they had the first set of discussions, the party in power in St. Kitts, the Bratcher-led Labour Party, did not want NRP to be in England as a part of the discussions. And so NRP had to argue the case and find money to send their representative up to England. You're talking about 76, and then you had a series of events with Bratcher dying, Southwell dying, Limor with Simmons winning the seat, losing the seat, then winning it in court, and Limor deciding he not holding parliament for 9 months. He going straight to elections in 1980, and then the coalition between PAM and NRP is a whole series of things that happened. But after that, and the talks continued, Nevis all of a sudden had not 0, not 1, but at least 3 persons attending the talks in England, because Mr. Stevens was a part of the delegation, Mr. Swanston was a part of the delegation, and of course Sim Daniel. Fast forward, Nevis insisted on a couple of key things, that Nevis must have its own government because it wanted real power. So Nevis must have its own administration if it were to proceed to independence with St. Kitts. That there must be a clause 113 in the constitution, so that the whole idea was, after independence, Nevis had the right to call a vote in the parliament, in the country, and then they could proceed into secession. Okay? And all of that, you have to understand that those rights were fought for by NRP, for the people of Nevis. So when you come now to this economic zone, and we're going to get into some of those discussions, a couple of things you are seeing here. Mark Brantley and the CCM are slowly but surely gifting the powers that Nevis and Nevisians and NRP fought so hard for back to Basti.
True. You're correct.
Geothermal.
Back to Basti.
This special economic zone. And you remember that I read to you from the legislative powers in Schedule 5 about lands. Well, you come to this now, and Dr. Daly, I'm grateful that you sent this to me. We are now at a stage where for this economic zone and control of the zone, the main person who is signing is the Prime Minister, after consulting with the Premier. But you should not gift this. You fought for this. You don't want any Prime Minister in St. Kitts to be the chief person to sign for any economic zone in Nevis. This is what we fought for. The Premier and the administration in Nevis must be in control of Nevis. And this is one of those that form the legislative powers. How can you gift this back without any discussions with the people of Nevis? They had town hall meetings, one in each constituency. This matter was never raised. And as a matter of fact, when the whole idea of that economic zone, we didn't call it economic zone at that time, we call it the enclave. When that matter was raised by Carlin Lawrence at the Gingerland Town Hall, the Premier told her, go take up your Bible, go pray.
Yeah.
That is rumor. And then a couple of days later, the Premier gets the Prime Minister, Dr. Drew, to pass this in the federal parliament. Boy, we're in trouble. We're really in stark trouble. Daly, you had a chance to read it. I don't know where you want to start.
It is so embarrassing at this point, actually, that we are at this point in our history. The Premier is practicing what you call plausible deniability. I think he's quite aware of the firestorm that is potentially to be released, because he knows the value on which Nevisians pride their land. And therefore, he wanted the federal government to take the lead on this special economic zone matter. He wanted a distance. But by giving distance, to give himself the room, say, it wasn't me, it was the federal government, he has actually damaged the legacy of persons like Sir Simeon Daniel,
of course,
and Ivor Stevens and Swanston, who fought for as much autonomy as possible in the first instance.
He's gifting it back.
He's gifting it back. And so, there's former Prime Minister Bradshaw fought to make sure Nevisians had land.
Mm-hmm.
And now the Premier and the Prime Minister has taken it back.
Good evening, caller. Hello, good evening, caller. Okay, we lost that call.
But this document, this law, I read it in a cursory kind of way. Tomorrow I'll do more digging into it. Oh, your call's coming back.
Good evening, caller.
Oh, good evening. Good evening.
Yeah, we're not hearing you clearly. You got to step away from whatever device you're listening to.
Okay. Okay, somebody said it, man.
Good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
The old people used to use a slang, a saying, so and so are turn in the grave. Well, Robert Bratcher and Simeon Daniel are torn in the grave. Let me remind these people who was Robert Bratcher, a part of him, because he had another side. When Nichols built a hotel down on Pinnis Beach, Nichols didn't have nowhere for local black people to walk to go to the beach. The Honorable Premier Bratcher then came to Nevis and advised Mr. Nichols that you have to make a way for Nivijans to walk through to go to the beach. He said that they will come to the hotel. You see that big gate above the hotel?
Mm-hmm.
He was putting a small gate. And Robert Bratcher tell him now, want a gate that transportation could drive on the beach. So much so that Nichols had to take up some of the pond enclosed with stones to make land for Nevis people. I never know how to live as long as to see such a thing happen. Let me tell you something. Spencer, the area representative, made a statement about geothermal. He said anybody who take up geothermal and give it away, that is political suicide. I hope he remember his words. You know what is happening to him now? He wants to build a hotel out in the zone. I wonder if he can get the land because he's light-skinned but he is black. He is light-skinned but he is black. And I don't think he's included in there. Let me tell you something. I listened to the news item from the Prime Minister. And in all due respect, 3/4 of what he's saying is what the building board stand for. I had dealt with the building board twice. When I was building my house was further back. Building board came up and said, now 15 feet from the road. And I had to bring my house 15 feet from the road. When I was building the restaurant down by Barrett Hotel, they say I have to have an enclosed septic. They came 4 times to make sure that the septic is done this way and that way. So this camouflage about this going to be done and that going to be done. I don't know what's happening in Sinkis, but in Nevis, the building board is functional and things were put in place properly. All happened here. All what's happened here is to tie it in to taking the land. Well, I am listening to hear from Spencer and what he going to think about the land, because the last 2 times geothermal of Nevis was in the news. You know who read the news item? You know who tell the story? The Prime Minister of St. Kitts. The second time, Congress Maynard of St. Kitts. They doesn't allow the Premier to re-put the item in the news. It's coming directly from St. Kitts. This is not what Nevis stands for. When they formed the NRP, it was independence for Nevis. I am wondering what the people of St. John's, the Brown Hill people, who just start about down at Brown Hill Bay, I wonder where them in this. Because this is not politics. This is schoolyard bullying. I remember when I was going by school, and you win certain people marble, they hold and they take it away. Just like how they want the land to buy. And Nevis people now want to sell the land. They take it away. Good night and goodbye, because I'm very emotional.
Thank you very much. Hi, good evening, caller.
Good evening. Good evening to the caller. Good evening. So the foot are in stores. They buying the land by the shoes. And you days dawning, I'm warning you, my friend. Hold on to your property and win it to your children.
Mighty Arrow,
It comes
Montserrat.
from Mighty Arrow, 1922, when I was going to school. That song they never left me. Carlisle, you just mentioned about Secession. And I'm not Secession 116. Carlisle, you know where you live in. I don't know what's happening with this thing. But anyway, you know where you live in, Carlisle.
Mm-hmm.
If you come in town to go to town, and when you reach by the roundabout, you make the road to go down. You're supposed to go left. But the road is jammed with a big stone, an accident, whatever. You walk around. A little illegal, but you're going to go around to get downtown. But when you come back, it's illegal. It's illegal. That's the Constitution right here. 112 is the big stone that you make on the left side, right by the roundabout. But they did everything with the land. Carlisle brought about the state of Navy to no more than for the people of Navy. He deported a man and said the land of Navy belongs to me. 1983, when we got independence, you just mentioned it. That was one of the big things for Navy. Navy responsible for the land. When they wanted to tell us about ganja, when NRP wanted to legalize marijuana, they criminalized marijuana. When Timothy Harris said, we want to get high, Patrice only make one statement and say, Navy is responsible for the agriculture produce and the land. Carlisle, me not gonna land over Long Point, Southeast Peninsula. But why Coast is from out, mean it for all of us. This don't feel good. This reminds me of the 80s decade. This reminds me of some things, some land in Tinkies. Tinkies Navies are very particular with the land. We are not supposed to let no government take the land. I don't know. I know I got friends. The man then got some land over there. What people got some land over there. They are my friends. They must tell me all the time, you know what, but me tell them in the land. These people are very passionate about the land. But the main point of it, they think it's not our geothermal. You realize what that is doing to us? The federal government now realize the geothermal is in need. For needless to get this year by Parata and CSA, as it said, it's 26% when I work it out per capita. No, to get geothermal, still remain at 26%, Carlisle. Maybe geothermal is now going to be the federal geothermal, and the land where the geothermal is on is going to be the federal land in Nevis. So then no Nevis is not going to need geothermal, is the federal geothermal with 26%. This is a serious issue. And you think, I mean, daily, I want you to answer me this. You think neglect will work over skeleton in the scheme of things? And I'll leave it there for now.
Thank you very much, caller. Somebody else is on the line. Good evening, caller. Hi, good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening, man. Yeah, good evening, man. How you doing tonight, man? You can hear me good?
Excellent. We're hearing you.
Yeah. Good evening to you and the other fellas in the studio.
Yeah, go ahead, caller.
Go right ahead, right?
Go right ahead.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, man. This new bill that was rushed through that house earlier this week, special sustainability zone authorization bill 2025. You know, you already don't know. Okay, let me rewind a little bit. Let me firstly say, right, I want to send some condolences out to the family, Charlie and the rest of the family of Letta Seabed on her passing. And I just want to make it clear to everybody there in Cotton Ground, my father, Vilma Jones, is still alive and kicking. And I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Burl Jones, right in the middle of Cotton Ground. I know everybody who's hearing my voice know who's talking tonight. So, yeah, Carlisle, I want to send condolences to the family of Letta Seabed. And I want to put that out not only just for myself, but on behalf of my father and the rest of my family, especially my father, man, because, you know, my father came home one time and he had to stay at Letter's house. And I want everybody to hear this. Everybody in Cotton Young knows what's going on. So Letter was a real special person to this family here. And, it's going to take a toll on us, and we're going to miss her too, And I just want to put that out there to Charlie and the rest of the family. And I remember when I came home to vote, I know you played a clip just a while ago, but there was another clip that was aired there. And everybody probably thought Letter was coming at me, but guess what? It was just nothing but sheer love, man. They got to understand the family dynamics and the politics of the day. But anyway, let me get to the meat of the story right now. This bill, what they have passed, I just don't know how the Sinkis and Nevis people is just sitting there taking this SHIT, man. I don't understand this at all. Why can't we go in the street and protest, man? It's nowhere Nevis people can sit there and sell out Nevis to sink it. Because right now, it's no opposition across the Narrows. And we're the people. We cannot just sit there, man, we can't sit there and watch these men do Nevis like this, man. We cannot sit there and watch these men. If the premier knows right now that if he's going to destroy Nevis like this, he needs to resign. He need not put Nevis down like this. If he so claims that he come from Hanley Street and he walked barefooted up Hanley Street and he's from such humble beginnings, well, keep them lands in the people's hands. With that clause 113 in the Constitution, it's no way NRP could be standing there and watching this man sell out Nevis like that. Every Nevis man and Nevis woman need to stand up for Nevis. You crazy? Not with all that work Sim Daniel and the man put in for us, man. That clause 113 in the Constitution that gives Nevis the right to go secession anytime. Anyhow, Nevis people pull that card and go and try to go secession. What are we going to do with that geothermal that's located on our own soil? It's nowhere Sinkers can control our geothermal, man. Nowhere Sinkers can control our resources. And all them people don't Sinkers that been listening to me, I'm telling them tonight, I'm a real Nevis man. I'm a real Nevis man. I'm going to stand up for Nevis first. They got people down in Sinkers up to this day. They don't recognize Nevis like that. And I could call names on top of here. You all don't want to hear what Sam Kanda is saying in Freedom FM last week, Friday. The man say all them 113 and all them 110 and all them type of clauses in the Constitution need to be taken out. You got to be crazy. And the man stay behind the scenes and he said he don't even think Sinkers got their fair share from the CBI revenues. Man, NRP need to stand up and hit the streets right now. That south side lands on Nevis, all the people who think they got ownership on them lands on the south side of Nevis, they're going to lose it. They're going to lose it. And the only way Carlisle brought to come back this stuff is the people on the top of the airport need to stand firm and don't take none of that money that the Prime Minister gave to the Premier. All them people on the top of the airport in Newcastle, I'm calling them out tonight. They need to boycott and collectively hold their ground and stay in them lands they own, their families own on the top of the airport for all these years. Do not take a penny from the Premier for no eminent domain. Don't take one penny from the Premier for no eminent domain. They might need to hold their ground in Newcastle. That's where the boycott and the process to start right now. Man, I wish I was on the ground in Nevis, man. I wish I was on the ground in Nevis.
Caller, I'm gonna thank you. The phone lines are hot. So we're gonna cross over to another caller.
But you guys cannot stand down there and don't do nothing about this, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, caller. Let's stay with the phone lines and see if we can get this other call. Hi, good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen.
How are you?
I'm doing marvelous. I'm not going to talk about giving away geothermal to the federal government. You all have dealt with it. Or ceding control of Nevis land to the federal government. You all have dealt with it. And there are a couple of things that concern me in the clip I heard you played of the Prime Minister. One was the economic zone or whatever it's called has to provide adequate health care facilities. So that means they don't have their own health care separate and apart from the rest of us. The next thing was, it was put in a strange wording. It was conflict resolution in place, I think were the words he used. Isn't that a judicial system? So they're going to have their own law court over there. Now the next thing is, they have to produce all their own water. So they're going to do desal, right? So they're going to take our cheap geothermal energy and make water for themselves. Well, why don't we take our cheap geothermal energy, put in large enough desal plants, and sell them water at a premium and make a profit? Why are we giving them the use of our utilities for themselves so that we don't make any money off it? That's just bad economic planning. And this is in the legislation. So the legislation is, to me, very dangerous for both thinkers and needed, let alone what is being touted and the rumor for the Southern Even. And the other thing is that at the beginning of the show, you read out condolences, right? Well, I'm wondering when you're going to read out condolences to the island of Nevis. Good night.
Yeah, on the sickbed, he is still alive. Daily, listen, callers, we're going to get back to you, but I want you to hold the calls. Give us a couple of minutes so that we can look at the bill itself. And we say hold the calls, and the callers don't understand. Hold the calls, caller, please let us get a chance to go through this. Daily, I looked at the bill, and I noticed that part of the bill this is section 3, objectives of the act, and I am looking at 2 under that. They're looking at energy transition, which was addressed by the last caller, including solar and geothermal. They didn't have anything there about wind and other forms of renewable energy. But the caller made a point, which I had a little note here, to say geothermal, including solar and geothermal, which means that they are contemplating selling geothermal energy to the people out there, because you don't expect they will have their own geothermal plant. So that is something which I made a note of. In section 4, 2 and 3, it says, where the area is within the island of Nevis, the Prime Minister shall consult with the Nevis Island Administration before entering into any development agreement. And should the Nevis Island Administration approve, the Nevis Island Administration shall be a party to any such development agreement. I believe that should be taken out. It shouldn't be in there at all, because if it is in the island of Nevis, the Nevis Island Administration must have what the legislative powers gave to us in Schedule 5 of the Constitution. It should not be anybody down in Bastia saying to us, listen, this is what we are contemplating, this is what we are discussing, and we come to you for your approval so that I, the Prime Minister, could sign. I don't believe in that. We waited 101 years to get back the Nevis Island Administration for Mark Brantley and CCM to gift this, carve it out, and say, listen, sink it, you take it. That don't sit well with me. And even before you come in, Dr. Daly, I want to point people to section 37 of the Constitution. Is on page 36, where it says, subject to the provisions of this Constitution, Parliament may make laws for the peace, order, and good governance of St. Christopher and Nevis. 2. Save as otherwise provided in subsection 3 and 4, the power of Parliament to make laws having effect in the island of Nevis shall not extend to any of the specified matters. That is to say, matters with respect to which the Nevis Island Legislature has exclusive powers to make laws so have in effect. That is an important section, because you know what that is saying? That is reaffirming that, hey, listen, these exclusive powers are for the Nevis Island Administration, and those include lands. But despite that,
Mark Brantley and his other two cronies went down to St. Kitts and supported this in full. Supported this so that the Prime Minister is now the chief person under this act. And they could consult.
That is not illegal?
No, they don't make the law. No, they make the law. They break the law. You have to go on to Section 3. If it is expressly declared in any law enacted by Parliament that the Nevis Island Administration has requested and consented to the enactment in respect to the island of Nevis of any of the provisions of that law relating to any of the specified matters, those provisions shall accordingly have effect in the island of Nevis as if they had been enacted by the Nevis Island Administration. The Attorney General is a smart man. He made sure that he understood what Section 37.2 said. And they say, okay, all right, but there's a way we can walk around that. Consult. Consult with them. And Mark Brantley, Alexis Jeffers, and Eric Evelyn, so damn stupid that they didn't understand, and maybe they understood and they knew. And they deliberately said, listen, let's support it.
This economic zone thing, again, the Brantley family stands to benefit extremely well. And I believe that when he went there with his colleague to do this, the people of Nevis was not in his mind, is what the benefit will be for my family, for what we want to accomplish. Had nothing to do with us. Because if it had anything to do with us, Mark Brantley would have never signed off on this to allow the Prime Minister to now be the main man when it comes to land on the island of Nevis.
Hi, good evening. Person gone. Okay, I want to jump down. Dr. Lely, are you going ahead? So if you have something, let me know. The Prime Minister, this is in Section 5.2 of this new bill. The Prime Minister with respect to the government and the Premier with respect to the Nevis Island Administration may establish an independent oversight body to receive and review applications from potential zone developers and to monitor compliance with the terms of any development agreement. The Prime Minister or Premier, respectively, shall be authorized to define and enforce regulations consistent with this act pertaining to the receipt, consideration and approval or disapproval of such applications. So what happened to physical planning daily? That's what they do.
That's fine.
The caller gone again. When you call us, please be patient. So that's the job of physical planning. They're taking away that job and having a special body now?
To take care of the special economic zone.
You must understand the reasoning behind this legislation. If this was purely a matter of a special zone, I don't think Brantley would have ceded power to the federal government for it. But because of the type of development, this enclave, the sovereign enclave that they're fighting so hard to establish on the southeast, that carries tremendous risk to the Premier. Because these people with the sovereign enclave are unlike regular developers. These are not hoteliers. These are not interested in geothermal. These people are interested in an apartheid state. They want an exclusive area. And what people need to realize is that this legislation does not only speak to the land or the terrestrial base, but it extends into the sea.
Yeah, they have the seabed.
The seabed, right? Now consider this. Most of the best fishing in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis is in the south. From Long Point all the way around to Butlers. That you can't get better fishing than that.
But you can't go out there go fish after this.
And so, what this arrangement seeks to do is to create an economic zone that extends deep into the sea.
12 miles normally.
Right? So, these people would have up to 90 years lease. Up to 90 years.
But could be extended.
But could be extended after 90 years. Lease on the seabed, on the richest fishing ground in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. People need to understand this.
Hi, good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen. It's me again. Carlisle.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Marisha made a statement some time ago. He said either the Premier or the Primer assisted the Labour government in the election. I don't know whether it's true or not, but I am having my own thing bubbling up in front of me. Now, let me tell you something. Couple months ago, in the news, because I listen news, the Prime Minister was saying that we get back these lands from Christopher Harbour. And I'm thinking that this bill is for Nevis and Nevis alone.
Exactly right.
It is for Nevis and Nevis alone. Because if you take back lands where you don't give to Christopher Harbour, that doesn't make no sense with what they're doing now. Left Christopher Harbour with the land then. This is, if what DJ Mario says is true, if, because I do it now, this look to me like a payback. This look to me like a payback. But I keep saying it, I say it already and I say it again because I have supported NRP all my life and everything they keep me go, so me know. And I listen to the radio here what CCM keep. And they never keep nothing one day, one night, no one morning. Never ever. And according to what DJ is saying, money was given. And it left me to wonder. I wonder where, I'm wondering loud, I wonder where the money come from. Good night and goodbye.
Thank you very much, caller. Let me look at something. No, go ahead, Daly.
Here's to continue with the caller, the last caller. A few weeks ago, on Target, we were discussing the Christopher Harbour situation. And I made the comment that I could not find any legislation that spoke to the creation of Christopher Harbour.
True.
So it was an agreement. What this legislation has done is now grandfather in Christopher Harbour as part of this sustainable zone development. But other than Christopher Harbour, this bill is exclusively a Nivision bill.
True.
Except for Christopher Harbour being grandfathered in, this bill is specific to the southeast of Nevis.
Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Carlisle.
Speak.
Yeah, I just locking in on what you all is saying now. But what I discover when you have two Brooklyn brawler running federation, you don't expect nothing better. And that bill, we don't have no opposition leader in the federation. We have opposition leader in Nevis. So what I will recommend the opposition leader do is to go and see a lawyer, because we're talking about geothermal and the Constitution is very clear. Whatsoever belongs to Nevis, it don't belong to the federal. So we going to have to get our lawyer in tune, because what I see, that the so-called opposition leader for the federal and the Prime Minister, they try to throw the Constitution out the window and bringing in a new dispensation of governing the people in St. Kitts and Nevis. And we shouldn't sit idly by and watch this thing happen. and it's not going to happen. Slavery gone already, and we shouldn't be in a position to bring back slavery. But I hope the people in Nevis is taking note, because Nevisian don't play with the land. Nevisian don't play with the land. And if you're walking around buying up people land, before people sell you their land, they need to know what is going on. So I am saying that let the opposition leader for NRP go and see a lawyer, and then we take the matter to court. Because this is what's going to happen. You cannot make law against the Constitution, and that is what they're doing.
Thank you very much, Colin.
One other thing I have to say. This piece of legislation is garbage. And it should be treated as garbage. Not only we spoke about the subsumation of the Nevisian rights by this piece of legislation. We spoke about that. But it's also garbage because it gives the Premier a whole ton of power to zone with the cooperation of the St. Kitts government any area in Nevis for any purpose. He can decide, listen, and by the way, the legislation is very specific. Any parcel of land that is now to be designated as a special sustainable zone cannot be less than 500 acres. Cannot be...
In Nevis?
In Nevis, 750 in St. Kitts. Cannot be less than 500 acres. Now, where on Nevis do you have 500 clear acres of land? Where?
Not a lot of areas.
One area in Nevis, southeast. South. Right? And I believe that...
The lands for Newfound, they're still up there.
Well,
Newfound is gone. They are new owners, but that amount is still in excess of that.
Right? But this legislation here is giving Brantley the right, in collusion with the Prime Minister of St. Kitts, to designate any area of substantial open land to any developer, no matter if it's private or public. Here's the danger for those persons who have been holding out against the government to sell their lands. The government, this piece of legislation now gives Brantley the right to go into the Parliament in Nevis, to go into the People's House, and say we are going to compulsory acquire that portion of land because it's now designated as a sustainable zone.
You told us week ago.
Stick a pin. Good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening to the listening public. Well, Brantley got a right to go in the house to do whatever he wants to do, right? We got a right to put him out of our place. We got the right to put him out of our office. I mean, you're calling the car about NRP, you know. This not got nothing to do with no NRP, you know. This has to do with the people of Nevis. This has to do with us. We may say to the people again, let me put the nigger man out of our business. Let me put him out. Let me go downtown. Let me go by the airport. Let me go by the seaport when he come in and ask him to go back. I'm going to our place. Good night.
Have a good night. One of the challenges I have is that the Prime Minister has taken the geothermal resolution to the federal parliament. The Prime Minister now went with this economic thing to parliament and had it passed with the full support of CCM. But the Prime Minister has not visited a preschool in Nevis in 3 years.
He don't need to.
He has not visited any of the institutions in Nevis.
He basically said...
He's been to all the schools in St. Kitts.
Listen.
We're having problems up here with our hospital. The Prime Minister has not visited the hospital.
He said that is a Nevis matter.
The 20 million for the airport that he guaranteed for CCM. He has not visited the airport to see what we're talking about with this project. He hasn't come to look at the southeast, even send a drone.
He doesn't need to.
The Prime Minister is one of those persons who has led St. Kitts and Nevis, who has shown no interest in Nevis.
Listen.
Your physical presence got to show me that you're interested in me and this part of the Federation. Not you stopping down in St. Kitts and signing all kind of things, and that does not show me that you have my interest at heart in Nevis. Come drive on the roads in Nevis. Come see the hospital. Come see the schools. You got to come to see how the people of Nevis are suffering. Not stop down in St. Kitts. As an you know, in the old days we had absentee landowners. The Prime Minister is like an absentee Prime Minister. He come to Nevis to Lyme, not to come to Nevis to see and to feel Nevis.
He and the Premier addressed
Good evening,
these
caller.
matters already.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, guys.
How are you?
I'm fine. You know, one of the saddest thing, right, guys, is that you see this information that you guys are bringing. All those people that support the CCM government, I don't think they listen to you guys. That's one of the serious problems that we have in Nevis. Because they either got to be crazy or something got to be wrong with them if they're hearing this kind of information and still holding on to that piece of garbage government they call CCM. Okay? I listen to Miss Janice Daniel Hodge on Freedom FM, right? And I don't know if you guys realize, right? She right now to me is the only person that can save the Federation. Not just Nevis, huh? I'm talking about the Federation, St. Kitts and Nevis. That lady is the only one who can save that place. Okay? In the in-house constitution of NRP, we have that no one person can be in the two governments, federal and island government at the same time. Okay? I don't know if you guys can touch on that a little bit, can explain that, but I think she needs to be the Prime Minister. Okay? And I know a lot of people agree with me.
I want to save Nevis first.
I think it's people are listening more than Nevis people. And they're seeing what's happening. Labour is not going to go back into power in St. Kitts. There will be a coalition government. Okay? And I think NRP stand a good chance this time around to be at the hem of the Prime Ministership. Okay? So that constitution that we have in-house, I don't know if, I think the federal government election is before our election. If she can run in that, represented to be the Prime Minister. If she doesn't win that, then maybe she can go back to the local. But that's food for thought, guys.
Thank you very much, Carla. Okay, let's take another break. We're running out of time fast. We got to make sure the sponsors have.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Thank you very much. We're going to come to Pico in just a little while, but we have somebody holding on the overseas line. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Carla Daly. And Carla, this matter really, I'm hoping that this matter of the Southeast Nevis, that private enclave, and now legislation, I'm hoping that this really would galvanize the people of Nevis to rally and to stand up against this. It almost sounds to me that we are creating a little South Africa in Nevis and what happened in South Africa during apartheid. I don't understand why our leaders today, in the 21st century, is willing to hand over so much land to developers when we don't have much land to go around. And I'm fearful that sooner or later, if Nivisians do not pay attention, they will become landless peasants again, after our people fought so much for these lands. You take away our lands, you take away our power. Secondly, Carlisle, I am beginning to wonder, this hospital project that has been going on for 7 years, is this a sham, really? To make Nivisians believe that something is being done, but to the back of this, we see something totally different happening. You pointed out, Carlisle, that the Prime Minister has not visited Nevis up until now. It's a shame, and I'm disappointed with our Prime Minister for not visiting our island and speaking to our people. And I'm wondering, to the back of my mind, the Prime Minister, in collaboration with the Premier of Nevis, might have been contemplating these ideas for a long while, and therefore doesn't want to meet with the people of Nevis because of the backlash he know he would receive. And at the same time, Mark is using the Prime Minister as cover to distance himself and to support whatever legislation they're passing in the federal parliament in St. Kitts and Nevis. We got to watch the play here. And I'm hoping that our people are paying close attention to what is going on in Nevis. It seems like we have ceded all of our powers, NIA powers, to St. Kitts. And so sooner or later, we may not have an NIA in Nevis. Look at the play.
Thank you very much, Carla. Listen, gentlemen, it got to be placed on record that Nevis does not have good memories of the way it was treated in the early days. The relationship between Nevis and St. Kitts, the poor relationship, is the reason why NRP had a one single line in a manifesto: secession at all costs. People can't forget that. We won't allow people to forget that. I'll come back to that. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen. A couple of weeks ago in the news, hello?
Yeah, go ahead. You're live.
The Premier was complaining about the fair share. And he even sounded angry with the Prime Minister. And all of a sudden now, they chummy again. And something is brewing behind all this. Because you know what? One of the arguments the Premier made was that Nevis wasn't consulted.
Mm-hmm.
The Prime Minister didn't consult Nevis. But now the Premier taking all our land. And remember, let's not forget, he coming back to us to beg for a vote. By taking our land and haven't consulted us. The bill was rushed through. Now one they take.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went away. I imagine seeing him with a cigar in him out on the footlap, because he does put up the pictures with the footlap. He must have got a cigar in him out on the footlap and say mission accomplished. We have to understand that we were slaves years ago, and we're not supposed to be slaves now. So it means if we have to stand up, we have to stand up. Let us start forgetting now. Dion Daniel Cates put a proposal according to him, and the Premier's death wanted to develop in that area according to the, and he haven't heard a word. This is a local investor. he wasn't entitled. I guess because he a Janice Daniel brother. But I don't know if the premier forget Dion Asim Daniel son. Sim was supposed to be like a father to him. But he's the kind of person who forget whoever been good to him. Yeah?
True.
Good night and goodbye.
Thank you very much, caller. Okay, we got to play Pico, and then we could come back to the rest of the story. It's
Pico,
9:44.
the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
Thank you very much. If you're calling, you got to get in your calls by 9:50 so that we can take our time and do our closing and get out of here. So you just have another 5 minutes or so to make your calls, and then we are done. Dr. Daly, in 6 of this, I think it is 6I, I note that they have provide for express acknowledgement that the following government matters are within the exclusive legislative, governance and administrative domain and control of the government of St. Christopher and the Nevis Island administration. I think that is an error because we know that St. Kitts don't have any government. The federal government acts as the St. Kitts government, so it should have been St. Christopher and Nevis right there, and then they go on to the rest of it. Let me take this call. Good evening, caller.
Good evening again, sir. One more thing. I just want to make it clear, Carla. Carla, I've never lived abroad. I always lived in Nevis. I like Nevis, and I will be supposed to be there for our children and grandchildren. Carla, some years ago, still I see my grandson went to Barbados. You know, just like Julius Marcus Johnson, from here, still I see my grandson. And somebody else still has their grandson. Well, what about him back to Africa movement? And still has their grandson and say, okay, you could come back to Africa to visit. But why would you want to let the Caribbean island that you worked so hard to develop and build and come back to Africa to get your land and go and build? So you want to make this land, sir? No, I'm saying this as Sister Carla. Once you give up our land, we're not going to do it. You gotta land on the beach for the security hub. Right? You move the security hub to give another man a land. Let me tell you this, and I want to say this to my people. Think it needed, but this all needed. I think the people are going to be okay. Once an Indian, a Chinese, and a white man get your land, you would never get it back. You would never get it back. That land on the beach will remove the security hut from Bailey. They could have built one thing there and they could have hold 2 bars there. At least we would have got something. Them Indian on the beach, they would never move. So if we could raise the bill $10,000 more, they not move because they ain't hold. And the more than us, they are more than us. And they ain't hold and holding them beach land here. If you don't ever have to block them land here, to nobody. And people have to be cognizant of the fact that there are less black people in the town than there were before. Check whenever black activity going on. Check in the schools, you see who are doing well. Check around and tell me who are learning trade and who are working to the schools. Check and you would see. We got to pay attention, Carol. I'm very, very passionate about Nevis and what's going on in Nevis. We know in a good place. Nevis is at the crossroads. And I can tell you, right now, Mark has been successful. Another one by the dust. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Okay. Gentlemen and Daly, I was looking at this thing again and going through section 6.2e. That is the one where necessary leasing of the adjacent seabed, provided that no such lease shall have an initial term in excess of 99 years, but may contemplate renewals beyond the initial term. 99 years? By 99 years, we're no fisherman. can go into that area to fish and so on.
Several generations.
Oh, Jesus. What are these fellows thinking?
I followed. Let's take the call.
Hi, caller.
Yes, it's just me for a second. I want to support the last caller because I remembered when a company came from Anguilla, wanted to put a hotel, the last 14 acres of land, Dogger Bay. And Sim Daniel's response was, that land of the last piece that a Nevis people won. That's why Sunshine down there. That's why Randy down there. That's why my cousin Bob's Cornelius down there. That last piece belongs to us. And it's a burning shame. It sounds like somebody who is not one of us going to get it. Sim Daniel at Ton in the grave. Good night and goodbye.
Thank you very much. Actually, it was Mr. Parry and his government who said no. A representative came from Daniel Brantley and Associates to do the negotiations for that land down there where Malcolm Gishard Park is and the other vendors on the beach. And Joseph Parry and his administration listened carefully and said no. Daily, we can't finish all of this tonight. We're going to have to get back to this in a future program. But the lease of the seabed for me is troubling. Even if these people are contemplating having something like a marina, I suspect that they did this because these people might be having their own pier. And when I read this, you know what came to mind? Epstein, Virgin Islands,
yes,
where he bought 2 islands, and you couldn't even get in close to the shore before security were running you. Epstein came to mind with the property in the Virgin Islands.
That's true.
But this legislation speaks to the ability for these enclaves or these special zones to control what comes in and goes out.
Yes.
So it means they'll have their own port facility. People must understand a few things. What is the purpose behind? Don't listen to all the jargon from the government about how beautiful these things are. What if you are a developer? What would attract you to one of these zones? You have endless concessions. You have exclusive control, what goes in and what goes out. You have lax laws that are not similar to laws that govern you and I. They can basically do what they want. Right? So you have basically said to the world, we are going to create these zones. You do your own thing. Right? Do your own thing. That's the real objective behind it. All this talk about oversight is garbage. Look what happened in Christopher Harbour. Christopher Harbour was owing National Bank. They were owing SIDF. They weren't paying their water. They weren't paying their power. They weren't paying their Social Security. So where's the governance that this bill speaks to that would have made Christopher Harbour do these things? It's not going to happen. Look what happened in Nisbets. Left the island of Nevis owing Nevlec $3.5 million. I'm sorry, in the revenue. Owing Nevlec almost $1 million. Owing water, owing Social Security. Where was the premier in that? This is nonsense. This legislation here, I don't know if it's even constitutional.
Cannot be.
I don't even know if it's constitutional.
Based on the Constitution, no.
But going forward, the main benefactor so far on Nevis is the Premier's wife. How can you go into the Parliament, pass legislation or create amendments to legislation to authorize the creation of these zones from which your wife is a major beneficiary because she's a realtor?
The entire family.
The anti-corruption bill that was passed a year or so ago in the Parliament speaks specifically against that sort of outcome. So his wife is actually the most exposed political person in the island, more than Brantley himself, because she stands directly to benefit from any land sales from this exclusive zone. He has put his wife out there. He has put his family out there because his daughters are also involved in the legal aspects of these land transfers. This is what we're talking about. In the case of Nevis, we know from the conversations that have been had by these developers, these people are not interested in most of the things Dr. Drew said. They're interested in an apartheid state. They want exclusive right to do whatever they want to do in that space. They want from Saddle Hill to Prospect, to the Long Point, to Butlers. They want it all. Why? Because they want to be able to run their racket, do what they need to do without any enforcement from the rest of us, any oversight from the rest of us. In exchange for what? Some guys come and cut your grass and wipe your baby's backsides? In exchange for what? This is what we are getting. We are losing autonomy because Brantley wants his wife to make money off of this deal. She stands to make millions of dollars. But she's also very exposed because if it comes to the come to, you can write to the DPP and a criminal complaint of corruption because she is exposed politically. And Brandy has made sure of that. But there are other issues having to do with the fact that you are also creating, in the minds of Nevisians, the most powerful entity after Four Seasons on the island of Nevis. Four Seasons is a law unto itself as it is. We are now going to create even a bigger entity with more power, economic and political power. So when you have these mega companies or mega developments coming in and controlling so much of your GDP, so much of your income, well, who's running the country? Who is in charge of the country? Not you. You might be the political directorate, but who is pulling the strings? You have lost control of your country. And that is what people are not saying. This is what Drew and them are not saying. But one more point I have to make. One more point. Because the time is running. We don't have a federal state here in Nevis and St. Kitts. We don't.
Correct.
We don't have a federal state. Dr. Drew is the premier of St. Kitts. Mark Brantley is the premier of Nevis. We have had the same constitution since 1983, with hardly, if any, changes.
No changes.
We went through a contest in 1998 for secession, a referendum. It failed. All sorts of leaders from all the Caribbean countries, from all over the world were coming and said, constitutional reform is the way forward. Have you heard anything since?
No.
Nobody gives a power. St. Kitts will never give a power to Nevis. The matter of fact, with Mark Brantley there, they're clawing back whatever power we had. St. Kitts will never, ever give up any control that they have over Nevis. They have demonstrated they have no intent through electoral reform. They have no interest in constitutional reform. They like it just the way it is because they are in the driver's seat. They have had us in a stranglehold ever since the Constitution, the independence in 1983. And we have not moved a single inch out of that control. And until the Nevis people understand that fair share, geothermal, this reckless abuse of the Constitution about sustainable
Economic zone.
Zones. This is all manifestations of that control. We are not moving. We will not progress in this arrangement without we having parity and not everyone say equality. We must have proper representation. We cannot continue with this relationship because it's a farce. Money comes into the federation from outside, and sometimes poor neighbors don't know because it's not a true state. It's not a true federation. If they choose to give us, they give us. The point is, unless there is substantial changes to our constitution, Nevis will be always complaining that we are being taken advantage of. Take it from me. Unless we adjust the way we govern ourselves, Sinkits will always be in the driver's seat. Not because they have larger population or geographic size, because of the will of the Sinkit politician to dominate Nevis. That is their will. And we will not shake that until we get serious conversation about how we adjust ourselves in a new dispensation and how this government should be shared between Sinkits and Nevis.
And you have a very, very strong point, because persons in Sinkits, part of the labor machinery, their mindset on constitutional change is that we have to get clause 113 of the Constitution. All that gives Nevis a semblance of power and self-control. They want it back. And that is the only how they're going to have constitutional review. And the Premier of Nevis seems hell-bent on going that way, as long as he could get what he wants. Now, you give an explanation of the enclave, and they follow the one that they were trying to develop in Antigua, and you're absolutely correct. It is a country within a country. None of the laws in Antigua would have been applied to this thing if it came off. It failed. And not only that, but the government guaranteed their legal representative if anybody challenged them.
Mm-hmm. Same thing here.
Same thing here.
Same thing.
Okay? So the government is going to represent them, give them absolute carte blanche freedom to run a country within our country. They say it happened there, say it happened other places. And Mark Brantley and his wife and Timothy Harris and the whole Sinkits Nevis administrations has introduced that into our country. The one in Antigua, you're right, they had exclusive right to any lands that they see in Antigua, and they wanted it, go to the government and say, we want this as an economic zone, and it was guaranteed that they're going to get it if they want it. It's the very same thing that is in this country, this bill that is passed here. People of Nevis, wake up, because wherever you have piece of land, and you believe it is yours, secure, these people can come and take it and give it to somebody else. And keep in mind, the greatest beneficiaries right now is Mark Brantley's wife and Mark Brantley's law firm. Good night.
Thank you very much. I'm going to close quickly on two matters. I've been around this politics thing since I'm a little boy because, of course, Ural Swanson is a Zion man, and I'm from Zion, so just down the road, whenever they had meetings in Zion, I was up the road, so I was around the politics thing when NRP started in 1970, the young little boy. I took Mr. Swanston's truck. When I say took it, I drove on the back of it to come to Charlestown on the 2nd of June 1974 when we had the biggest ever political meeting in Nevis.
You remember that?
We were told, come along Sunday, I'll be going to march. And I was on Mr. Swanston's truck into town as a part of that march and up to the E.T. Willett Park, then the Grove Park. 2nd of June 1974. I can recall vividly that we have had 2 chances to vote for secession in Nevis. The first chance, which was an NRP-led situation, didn't happen because Nevis did not have the authority at that time. It was prior to the Nevis Island administration returning with clause 113, which clearly stated how a secession vote should be called. But Sim Daniel and Ivor Stevens and Ural Swanson and the others, it didn't matter to them. They said, listen, we want to secede from St. Kitts, so we are going to have a vote. And there was a vote. The results of that vote were 4,183 saying yes, let's secede from St. Kitts, and 14 saying no. 4,183 saying yes, and 14 saying no. When you look at the percentage, me ain't great at maths. 99.67% of the people in Nevis said we want to secede from St. Kitts. The then Premier, Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw, said that vote is null and void because there was no provision for Nevis to secede from St. Kitts at that time. After the provision was entrenched in the Constitution and the CCM party in office realized that, boy, we only been in here since 92, but things don't look good. We're losing support and we're losing ground and so on. They said, let's try a red herring. And so they started this matter of the secession vote, which happened in 1998. I want to make it clear that all of the members of the House here in Nevis voted in support of. There was one occasion when they had called a sitting of the House, but the members from the NRP side didn't attend. So they could not get the necessary vote. But when they had the vote and NRP attended, all 5 members voted in favor of the secession vote. When it went to the people, 61% of the people said yes. So it failed. The people of Nevis did not trust CCM to have the government, to be in charge of a government in a Nevis seceding from St. Kitts, because they had shown the people no plans what they were going to do after secession. I want to suggest that the next time that a secession vote comes up, and it is clear in my mind that secession will be back on the table for Nevis in the not too distant future. And why do I say that? Because the people of Nevis are seeing the CCM administration slowly but surely gifting what the people of Nevis worked hard for. What Levi Morton and Phineas Griffin and Victor J. Martin and Ivor Stevens and Ural Swanston, what people like Tessie and Sir Sim Daniel,
Ron Leibert,
all of those people, what they worked so hard for. Remember, Nevis was without a government for 101 years until we got back government on the 19th of September 1983. And we have seen Mark Brantley support a resolution to give away the geothermal resources based on Nevis. So he might be looking in the future to say, Lord, I want me fair share. Give me 24% of the geothermal when we had 100% of the geothermal. We have seen Mark Brantley give the right to the Prime Minister to have this economic zone taken away at one single swipe, 500 acres. And you know who proposed the amendment and put in 500 acres in Nevis? Mark Brantley. So he's saying, take geothermal, take the lands, take a lease on the seabed in that area for 6 miles so the fishermen can come in that area to fish. Take that for 99 years. And when you look at all of these things, I am saying that the Prime Minister and his cabinet might be misjudging the people of Nevis. They might be thinking that because Mark Brantley is complicit, that the people of Nevis are in agreement. But one thing I will tell anybody who want to listen, play with Nevis people. You could take some mango off the tree. We got enough mango, you're not bother with that. Take a couple of mango off the tree. Take some sugar apple, take some sauce up, take some breadfruit. Mess with Nevis people land and you see the worst side of Nevis people. So what they are doing now, in setting up to mess with the land of the people of Nevis, that might be the trigger for Nevis saying, listen, it is time for us to go back to the polls and say to ourselves, first, we'll relieve ourselves of the CCM government. And secondly, it is time for us to relieve ourselves of St. Kitts. And when you look back at the history and you look to see what provoked this, the same way that Nevis people in the old days had poor roads, second-hand ambulance, second-hand school bus, second-hand fire truck, and they thought that they were being treated badly by St. Kitts, we're back there. We've been treated badly by St. Kitts again. And we have a prime minister. I like Dr. Joe. I like Dr. Joe bad. But Dr. Joe, I love Nevis more than how I like you. And in 3 years you have not found the chance to come to Nevis. You've been to Africa. How many times have you been to Africa? You gone down to Africa and the Africa people come to, where they were, in St. Lucia? Somewhere down in the windwards. So you gone to Africa, you've been all over the world, but you ain't come to Nevis. I like Nevis more than I like you, Dr. Joe. 3 years done gone, you have found no opportunity to have a formal visit to Nevis. That does not sit well with Nevisians. You might not hear Nevis people grumbling. You might say it's only them three fellows and tell me making noise. Nevis people are funny people. You got to be careful. Okay, we're done. Monday night, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge will be on with Steve Manners and Your Voice with the NRP. So we wanted to tune in. Remember that there are two raffles out there. There's a $10,000 raffle, and then the youth arm, they are having 42 prizes for independence. Some really solid prizes. Call me if you want tickets. Gigi, you look like Dr. Daly frightening you, so you ain't call me for no tickets. But call me if you want tickets and make sure that you are part of the business. That's it from us here and tonight. And tell me, we're going next week when we come back. Daily, we got to continue this thing because we ain't reach halfway yet. Okay?
Before Monday, and target will be on Saturday. So I want the people to understand we'll be here. Lord's willing.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much, Antel. Is Grenada, the Africans went there. They had big thing in Barbados, and nobody from St. Kitts was there, to the best of my knowledge. Big thing in Grenada, but we take a whole plane and went down to Africa, when it would have been cheaper to go to Grenada. All you take care of yourselves here. We're going to be back with you next week, but remember, Saturday, tune in to On Target. Let me go check and see now what happened down in St. Kitts and whether or not Patriots win the first game. Have a good night.
Tell me what you want.